Good evening. Hope everybody is doing good. Gonna give everyone a little time to jump on before I get started. Hope you guys have been having a great day. Today is Wednesday, and want to come on and talk to you guys about anxiety today. So, gonna give folks a few minutes to jump on. Yes, I'm back. I know a lot of people had been asking me, when are you coming back? I was enjoying what you've been doing. I've been, hoping and praying that you would come back and all that. So I'm going to get into that a little bit, let you guys know what I've been up to and what's been going on. Hey, Rodney. Thanks for joining me tonight. So as you guys are coming on, just let me know that you're on and where you're watching from. Let me know that you're here with me as you guys are slowly gathering in, and we're going to give it a few minutes for you guys to come on. We're not going to be on long tonight, but I am really excited about being back. It's been a long year and some change, actually, probably since I've been live and just really doing social media at all. But really excited about getting back on and just sharing what I have to share and doing my thing. So as you jump on, let me know who you are, where you're joining from. Hey, Miss Kim. How you doing? Thank you for joining me tonight. Let's see, who else do we have on? Waiting for those names to pop up. I hope you guys are having a good day. Despite everything that's going on, I hope that the day has been going well for you overall. Want to wait a few more minutes. Let's see who else is joining me. Katisha, hey. Haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you're doing well. It's my old friend from Blue Cross Blue Shield back in the day. Thank you for joining me. Kim, you said you need a reset. I know. Yeah, we all do. It's a lot going on in these streets. Life is definitely life, for sure. We all need a reset. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and get started. So I don't want to be on here long. But I'm really excited about being back. Again, as I said initially, just glad to be back doing reset. It's been a long journey, and just really excited about getting back online and interacting with you guys, my friends. And I didn't realize how much people were being helped. I just kind of started jumping on doing things that were dear to my heart. As you know, when I went through a lot of life transitions a few years ago, I decided to jump on and start sharing some of the things that I have been dealing with. Chantel, hey boo, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. My mom is on here, Dr. Janine Chandler. Thank you for joining me on tonight. Thank you for coming on in to reset. You all, as you're coming in, of course, hit like and share. Let people know that we're on. I know a lot of people are probably shocked because I have not been on social media hardly at all. Every now and again, I've been posting, but I haven't really been on. And I'm going to talk about that real quick in a few moments. Katisha, you said all is well and well shall be all. Amen. I miss you too, girl. I miss you too. Thank you so much for joining me. But yeah, so it's been a long journey, and I know a lot has been going on. So I wanted to jump on, like I said, and share some of my insight and just some of the things that I feel like the Lord has been giving me. If you followed me in the past, I'm not jumping on here to do a Bible study or to teach a lesson or do a sermon. I can do that, but that's not really where I feel my calling is in this area on social media. I really believe my calling on social media is to provide insight and encouragement. I'm a certified life coach, And I kind of find myself even in a lot of my career paths. I have found myself working in areas where I am doing conflict resolution or, quote unquote, counseling people. Not that I have a license to do so, but it's just kind of been going that way. And so I just really want to share what has been put on my heart to share. Shalonda Schuler, thank you for joining us tonight also. All right, it's 5 after. I usually only like to wait about 5 minutes before I get started. So I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Those who can't jump on, they can look at the replay, so that's not a problem. Dana Lee Bynum, thank you for watching. So the reason that I wanted to jump on is just to share some things that have been on my heart as I'm watching the vein of our social climate right now. Real quick, I did take a break. About, oh goodness, a year and some change ago. My cousin Rena's on. Hey, Rena, thanks for joining. About a year and some change ago, I did start doing what I call Reset. This is my platform and my show. And I stopped because I was in school finishing up my MBA, and it was a lot. And so thank God I can say I am done. I am now a full-fledged MBA holder. And so I'm grateful for that. I received my MBA in global business. And so really excited about that and opportunities that is going to open for me also. So when I took that break, how many of you guys know when you take a break from something, if you stay away too long, it's hard to get back. And so I kept putting it off. I kept putting it off. I started doing other stuff. And then, I took a break from social media because it was just too much. I had a lot going on. I felt stressed. And then I got a promotion on my job. And it was just a lot going on. And I just never got back around to it. And I really wasn't posting a lot or wasn't doing anything because I don't know. I took that break and I just didn't have that need to be back on anymore. But I had so many people coming to me when I would see them or when we would speak. They would say, when are you getting back on doing your reset? When are you getting back on live? You really were really helping me. And you guys don't know, those words of encouragement really meant a lot because there was a time when I was doing it that I wasn't sure if I was really helping or how people were receiving it. But I've really been encouraged. And so as the year has come in, even around Christmas time and just, as we're going to January and we're ending the month. Hi, Psalms T. Fry. Thank you for joining me and Malik Turner. As the time has gone on, Miss Leandra Davis, thank you for joining. As time has been going on, I have felt such a pull to really get back on and just encourage people. And just really help people cope and really just do what I do. So, as we all know, life is lifing. And I think not just, we see what's going on in media and social media, on television, in the news. If you don't know, what's going on politically, just all over the country, there's a lot going on. We've got social issues, economic concerns. Some of us have health issues that we're trying to overcome. And actually, a lot of the health issues are because you're dealing with a lot of emotional and mental issues. And so a lot of times when you have a lot going on, it's different when, you have your little personal life struggles because we're all used to going through seasons. I always say you either going through something, you just came out of something, or you're about to go into something. So you're always constantly going in life cycles. But sometimes when it's all around you, outside of your life, outside of, what you're used to, which is what we're all experiencing now. And I'm not coming from a position of political party. I don't put, I dare not say what my political party is or what my beliefs are, because that's personal. And everyone, has the right to their personal political beliefs. But I have sensed really the anxiety of what's been going on, just uncertainty on both sides of the fence. A lot of anxiety. People are just feeling unsure. There just a sense of panic in our country. A lot of people just don't know what's going to happen. And literally every day I watch the news, thanks to my mom. She's still on here. My mother got me hooked on watching the news. We actually have whole phone conversations about about the news, you know. So that tells me, because when I was younger, I used to hate she watched the news all the time. Now she has me hooked. But, you know, when you talk about the news, when you watch the news, everything on social media is about what's going on. Like everything is like hitting us all like, you know, all at once. And people are stressed, you know, people are really going through and really struggling because of uncertainty. And when you're dealing with uncertainty, when you don't know how your money is going to be, when you don't know if you're going to be able to afford to pay your bills, if you don't know, if you can walk outside and go somewhere without, you know, being harassed, or, you know, just the basic necessities of life, being able to deal with those and handle those and take care of your responsibilities, it can get really stressful. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Life is lifing, coping with anxiety in this social climate. So I want you guys to get you a cup of tea. We're not doing coffee because it's late, unless you're like a professional coffee drinker and you can drink coffee at this time of night. I would be up all night. I don't drink coffee at all. But get you something and find you a little place to chill, and let's talk about it. And I want you guys to interact with me. You know, put your comments in, and I'm going to kind of talk about some of the comments that we're seeing also. But I want you guys to really interact with me. This is kind of going to be a laid back time with to share tonight. So, as I said, some of the things we're looking at: social and political unrest. We're dealing with economic concerns. Our economy is a hot mess. You know, you can't hardly buy. They were talking about the price of eggs, and, you know, let alone trying to buy a house. And, you know, houses are like 3 times more than what they, you know, used to be even a year or two ago. You know, the economy is a hot mess, you know, and if you're not rich, like the large percentage of us are not, it can be really difficult. And so you're dealing with that. And then all of that anxiety, if you're dealing with personal life issues, you're dealing with, you know, outside things, we can get so caught up and so stressed out. And if you're not careful, it will affect you in your health. I know for me, a lot of times, even though I'm a woman of faith, you know, I love God, and I try to, you know, I'm giving it to God. I try to pray, and, you know, like I get up every morning and, you know, I have my time with God and my time of meditation. But I don't know what part within me sometimes still really struggles with anxiety and stress when I have situations before me. And a lot of times what happens is I'll internalize it, and it'll come out through migraines, muscle aches, all kinds of different things. And so looking at some of the symptoms that we deal with, and I want you all to talk back to me if you're experiencing any of this, because we want to diagnose where you are. We're looking at people that are dealing with chronic fatigue. You feel like you can't never get enough sleep. You just want to lay down all the time. Anybody feel like that? Like you used to be always up, getting up, going places, doing stuff, being out in the streets. And now you just feel like you don't want to be bothered. You don't want to deal with people. You know, you don't want to go nowhere. You just want to lay. Has anybody been feeling like that? Or you just feel like every time you turn around, you need a nap? Chronic fatigue. You're just tired all the time. You know, and so a lot of people are dealing with that. Some people are struggling with being able to focus. You ever find yourself at work not being able to focus, especially those of us who are become women, especially women of a certain age, that perimenopause situation. If you're 45 and above, you know what I'm talking about. But that focus on top of stress and then anything else you might be going through. Luan, you said yes, you can relate. Okay, y'all talk back to me. I know some of my sisters out here can relate to what I'm saying. But, you know, just really struggling with trying to focus. You know, you could be sitting at work and you can't remember what you're supposed to do 5 minutes ago. You're at home, you go in the room to pick up something or to get something, and you can't remember what it was that you went in to get. You know, you just like all over the place. You can't focus. You can't your mind is bad, struggling. And so a lot of people are dealing with that. Struggling with decision making is another symptom of anxiety. So if you're finding yourself, more than normal, having a hard time solidifying decisions, having a hard time like really locking down what you need to do in a certain situation, you might be dealing with stress and anxiety. This is one that a lot of people deal with: increased irritability. So do you find yourself like irritable all the time, fussing at your kids more than normal? I've been there, or just, like, oh, everything's getting on your nerves. You're just irritable. Anything anybody says to you, you just aggravated all the time, just really irritable. All right, talk back to me. Anybody ever felt that way? Some irritability, mood swings, you moody. 1 minute you like happy, joy. The next minute you like, oh, you don't want to be bothered. You're going through a lot of changes. You might be dealing with some anxiety, headaches, stomach aches, muscle tension, as I said earlier. And then again, a big one, avoiding social interaction. Some of us, struggle with getting out of the house, with that fatigue. You don't want to be bothered. You don't want to deal with people. So you just shut in, you like chronically doing Netflix and chill a lot. And I know for me, that was, an issue. And I'll be honest, I still struggle with that. I can be very introverted anyway, so for me to get up and get out and, go hang out with friends or whatever, I really got to go through a whole mental situation because, I've just gotten so used to not, interacting like I did. I think COVID did a number on a lot of people where we just kind of got used to being at home a lot. And so we're not really getting out and socializing and doing those things that we were used to doing previously, before COVID, and especially now. And I will say, especially those of you who are in leadership, and I always kind of talk to leaders a lot because I'm often in leadership positions, whether it's within church or in the corporate setting. A lot of times people who are leaders, you're in situations where you have to be before people so often. By the time that you do get a chance to kind of breathe, you don't want to be bothered. And if you're not careful, the anxiety and the stress that comes along with those positions, and the anxiety and stress that comes along with life and a lot of things that you may be experiencing will cause you to become introverted. And so you have to be very mindful of that and make sure that you push yourself to get out, push yourself, call your friends. Hey, what you guys doing? Let's go here. Let's, do this. Bless you, Bishop Travis Bannister. Thank you, sir. Chief Apostle. Thank you for joining me. Sister Linda Jordan, Taniko Gilliam. Thank you for joining me. Vajra Smith. Thanks for joining me. So you have to really make yourself get out, force yourself to get out and go places and do things so you can overcome. Because what will happen is if you start getting to the point where you don't want to do anything, you don't want to go out, it gets harder and harder to break that barrier. And then what happens is you begin to distance yourself from loved ones. You begin to distance yourself, and then it affects your level of trust with others, and you don't trust anybody, and you get paranoid. It's a lot. Being by yourself and always being in your head all the time can be a lot. So you want to get out of your head, and these are some of the things that you want to do. I wrote down and jotted down a few strategies. First and foremost, for those of us, most of you who are watching are people of faith. And again, this is not the platform for me to do Bible study or do a sermon. I'm a life coach by trade. Yes, I am a licensed evangelist in the church, and I've been doing ministry for over 20 years. But this space is really about coping with real life, because we over spiritualize everything. And I'm really big on addressing life issues. Everything is not you can't speak in tongues over everything. You cannot, give those little cliches. Oh, give it to the Lord. I'm trusting in God. How are you doing? I'm just trusting in God. And you crying on the way home. Stop lying to yourself and stop lying to others. Like, I know sometimes we've been taught, especially in the African American community, we've been taught and conditioned You know, I'm speaking by faith. Yes, you speak by faith, but you also need to be real about how you feel. You need to be honest about the things that you're stressed about, the things that you're struggling about, the things that you're dealing with. And even if you're not honest with anyone, be honest with yourself. You know, admit, you know what, I'm stressed. You know, look within, figure out what's going on. Take time. I often tell people that I'm close to, like, sometimes I may be experiencing an emotion, but I don't really know what it is. Take some time to self, you know, reflect. What am I feeling? What's going on? You know, when you identify how you're feeling, when you identify the things that you're experiencing internally, it helps you deal with them better. But if you don't really identify what you're dealing with and you don't really know how you feel, then what you'll find yourself doing is just disconnecting. You'll never identify it, and anything that you can't identify, you can't fix. So you have to identify how you're feeling, what it is you're feeling. Are you stressed? Are you worried about bills? Are you worried about, you know, what's going on politically, what's going on in the world? There's a lot going on. Are you worried about, if you're a leader, on your job? Are you worried about things at work? Are you worried about things at your church? If you're a church leader and you're a pastor, especially, a lot of stress, you know, so you have to identify what it is you're feeling so you can actually deal with it. So again, not that this is a Bible study platform, but as a woman of faith, the main thing that you want to do is recognize that you have to have faith over fear. I'm going to let that sink in. You have to have faith over fear. Faith over fear. What does that look like? Faith over fear. If you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God, if you are a person of faith, then you have to realize, what does Romans 8:28 say? You know, you have to remember those scriptures. You have to remember the Lord's Prayer, you know, things that you know that will help you deal with what's going on. You know, we know all things work together for good to them who love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. If you know that you've given your life to God, you know that you're a person of faith, then even this and whatever your this is, you have to trust and know that it's working for your good. You know, every morning when I get up and I have my time in meditation and my prayer time, I recite the Lord's Prayer. And that's a prayer and a scripture we take for granted. But the Lord's Prayer, you know, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. So whatever it is in his kingdom, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's not a lot of chaos and drama going on in heaven. So whatever you got going on in heaven, God, that's what I want here around me on this earth, you know, as it is in heaven. And give me this day. This is my favorite part. Give us this day our daily bread. But I put myself in there. Give me this day my daily bread. Lord, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. And this is, and the things that I'm talking about, these are things I'm even dealing with right now. I had to tell myself, even within the last few days, I am not worrying about tomorrow, because tomorrow is sufficient of itself. It'll take care of itself. But give me this day. When Jesus taught the disciples to pray, he told them, give me this day. And a lot of times what happens is we get so worried about tomorrow, a month from now, 30 days from now, it's the end of the month. Oh, Lord, I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my rent. What I'm going to do? You know, you're going through all those changes. But you got to literally worry about today. Give me this day my daily bread. And sometimes what'll happen is things that are planned, things that are ordained for your life, they will come. But the funny part is they don't come in our timing, you know. And so we get to a point where we stress out. And this is for me. My biggest thing is when I don't see how things are going to work, when I can't call it, when I don't know, like, what's going on or why, it does something to me. Like, I start going through changes, you know, like, when I don't know when, you know, because I plan, and when I know I have certain things coming up and I don't know where certain things are coming from. I don't know, like, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do that. I had to get to a point, Lord, give me this day my daily bread. And so that is my meditation every day, to focus on today. And so as you're dealing with your anxiety, as you're dealing with your stress, learn to focus on this day. Focus on this moment, and even if you go to therapy, they'll teach you grounding techniques, what they call them. You have to sit and quiet yourself and focus on this very moment, and make yourself aware of what's around you. I'm aware that I'm sitting in this chair. I am aware that God is with me. I am aware that my feet are touching the floor. I am not dying. I'm not, gonna lose it. I am aware that I'm whole. I am aware. And you have to make yourself aware of everything that is around you and ground yourself, and ground yourself not only in what's around you, but grounding yourself in your faith, grounding yourself in knowing that I'm going to be okay, and so you have to do that when you're having moments. Have you ever had a panic attack? I have. Anybody on here ever had a panic attack and you thought you were having a heart attack? I even had to go. I remember one time several years ago, I was in church. I had just gotten finished leading praise and worship, sung my heart out, sat down, and I thought I was getting ready to leave here. My heart was doing like this. I couldn't breathe. I was going through changes. I literally had a panic attack in the middle of church. I thought I was dying. They rushed me to emergency, and my blood pressure was sky high. And the doctor said, "Are you under any kind of stress or what's going on?" That was the first time I ever had a panic attack. And from that moment on, I had to realize I was often feeling overwhelmed and I didn't realize it. And so sometimes, again, especially those of us in the African American community, we will take things and internalize them so much until we don't realize the toll that it's taken on us until we get sick. That's why we have high blood pressure. We have diabetes. Did you know that diabetes can things that can contribute to diabetes is stress? Did you know that when you're stressed out and you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, you will end up causing your A1C levels, that's what I'm trying to say, your A1C levels to rise, your cortisol levels, which affects your A1C, which will cause, you to be a candidate for prediabetes and diabetes. And so in our community, we have to be mindful of how we handle stress, because it'll kill you, really. So in your life, recognize and identify those things that are causing you to internalize, identify those things that are causing you to fear and stress, and put your anchor in God, learning to trust. Number one, trust yourself, trust your decisions, trust that you know what to do, and then put your trust again in your faith, knowing that whatever's going on, God has your back. He's not going to let you fall, and he's going to perfect everything that concerns you. And so when you're dealing with those moments, when you have those moments that you feel like you're not going to make it, when you're dealing with grief, I teach a lot on grief and anxiety because it's coming from a personal place. These are things that I deal with, and I'm really big on being transparent. These are things that I've dealt with, and sometimes I still deal with. And so when you're feeling those moments of anxiety, when you're, worried about, what's going on and you don't know what's going to happen and, you're stressed, I want you to take a moment and just breathe. Even now, as you're watching, take a minute to breathe. Just breathe and know that you're going to be okay. Ground yourself. Be aware of your surroundings, get somewhere quiet again and just sit in a chair with some armrest. Touch the chair. Hey, Amber, thanks for joining me. Touch the chair. Thanks for joining me, Jason and Duran. Thank you for joining me. Be aware I'm touching this chair. I'm aware that I'm sitting in this chair. My feet are on the ground. I'm aware that I am okay. I'm aware that I am breathing. I am aware that God is with me. I am aware that all things are possible with him. I am aware that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You have to get scripture. Again, this is not a Bible study class, but those are things that have helped me in those moments. Get those tools and use them. Write down affirmations. There are certain affirmations that I have every day that I read out that, help me stay focused because, again, life will begin to life. And if you're not careful, it will overwhelm you and you'll find yourself in a bad way. So it's 8:30. I told you guys I was not going to be on long. Hi, Beatrice. Thank you for joining me. Evelyn, thank you for joining me. You just had a birthday a few days ago, so happy belated birthday. I want you guys to put in the chat. I want to interact with you a little bit while you guys are watching. So what are some of the things that you've been having anxiety about? How has life been lifing for you? I'm going to give you guys a few moments to put that in the chat. Tell me some of the things. Let's talk about. What are some of the things that you've been dealing with? And not to tell your business, but just give me a general, some general insight to some of the things that you've been dealing with. How has life been lifing for you? What are some of the things that you feel like have gotten you overwhelmed, or some things that you're like, ooh, okay, you know what? I'll start again, dealing with this whole transition with our government. I think a lot of people are struggling, with what's going to happen next, because literally every day there's something. So for me, I had to unplug because I found myself looking at the news all day, every day, which is not healthy, and then if you're scrolling on social media, everybody's, making comments, and, everybody's got an opinion, whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever your political affiliation is. So, that's one area where we have to realize and really get specific about, what we're going to work on internally. So those are some of the things that we really have to deal with and work on. So Tawana, you said, "Whew, yes, ma'am." Okay, here you go. Tawana said, "There's always one more thing to do, trying to complete the laundry list." That's right. You can get overwhelmed by your to-do list and things that you're responsible for. Kim says, "Grown young adults, your kids." Yes, your kids will stress you out with their lives and trying to be grown. They want to be grown when they want to be grown. And then, of course, mama always got to jump in and help, So that can be very stressful. What are some other things that you guys feel like you may stress about? So Tawana, you said a laundry list of things to do. So we have to prioritize, and you're not going to be able to get everything done in one day sometimes. If you are an A-type personality where you really are, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you are a planner, which Tawana, I know you are, you like business mind, and you really like, you're a go-getter. You always have been. So you got to give yourself some grace. If you prioritize by the most important things and then work your way down. If you don't get to everything, it's okay. Start a new list for tomorrow, And then for your grown adult children, Miss Kim, we have to learn. My daughter just turned 18 a couple of weeks ago. And already I've had to learn to be like, do you? Cause she's technically grown. So I had to learn to be like, okay, you know what? I had to train myself. I'm giving advice. I'm no longer telling you what to do, but this is what I think. You can take it or leave it. But then now she has to live with her decisions. And so sometimes we have to let our kids live, our adult children live with the decisions that they make. All right. Yeah, Tawana, they really want to be grown. Duran, complacency in motion, but feeling stuck. So when you're feeling stuck, sit down and write down some of what you're feeling. Some of the things that you're dealing with that are causing you to feel stuck. And sometimes it's just a matter of doing it. For instance, probably before you joined, I was telling everyone, for me, I had planned on getting back and doing this almost a year ago. And so my first excuse was I was in school. I finished my MBA, got my MBA in global business. And then when I got done, I still kept putting it off. A lot of it was anxiety and fear. I let it overtake me, and then just procrastination. So sometimes some things you just have to just do it. Like today, I made myself get on. I was scared. I was nervous. I don't know why, because once I got started, I was fine. But it's always that build up, getting to that point where you, right before you have to do it. Once you get going, you're fine. But it's that anticipatory anxiety where you're like, oh God, what if nobody comes on, or what if, but you can't worry about that when it's an assignment, when certain things are God given and it's your assignment to do. And do not know that sometimes some of your blessings and some of the things that God has for you will be held up because you're not being obedient to what he told you. So Duran, just do it. All right. Let's look at some of the other things. Beatrice, you said it was hard at first, but you did exactly that. You put your faith in God, and by getting more into the word, and you're feeling great now. Awesome. The word, Tawana, you said the word has helped you. Matthew 6:33 and 34. Awesome. My auntie Helen is on. Hey, auntie. Miss Pasha, you said your family. Yes. My cousin Champ is on here. Hey, Champ. Deborah, you said caring for senior parents and becoming a senior citizen yourself. Absolutely. My mom is on here. She can relate. Hey, Miss Jeanette Reyes. Thank you for joining me, friend. My mom was a senior citizen and a caregiver at the same time, taking care of two parents. So, Deborah, I understand. I watched my mom gracefully navigate, and it was rough. She had some days where she was, stressed out, tired, and crying and going through changes. And then when my grandparents finally passed, she had a hard time adjusting because she didn't know what to do with herself. She had all this time on her hands. So, you have to adjust, but don't be afraid to ask for help. Another thing, in African American community, we're not good at asking for help. Let that sink in. And it is our culture when our parents get of age, we move them in and we commence to trying to take care of them ourselves. But depending on their health conditions, you can't do everything by yourself. Some stuff you can't handle. If you're not a nurse, you're not a medical professional, be okay with asking for help. If they qualify for services, get the services, get the help, and take breaks when you have, utilize your siblings, all of that. Everybody pitch in and get that, we all do it together. We all help. We get the services that we can get and make sure that, we take care of our parents. But we have to make sure that we reach out for help and take those times. And if that means as a caregiver, as being a caregiver, that you need to go sit on somebody's couch and have some personal therapy or talk to a life coach, by all means do it. Because internalizing all that stress and going through all that, because it is not easy taking care of your parents once they get to a certain point, because it's like you become the parent and they become the child, especially when you're dealing with things like dementia and things of that nature. It can be very difficult. So absolutely. My mom, who is an author of 2 books now, she says she had a lot of anxiety and had to make herself go ahead and write her books. I watched her journey with that as well. You have all these ideas in your head and things you want to do, and the enemy's biggest job is to keep you doubting your ability and your capability. And so we sit on multi-million-dollar ideas and things that will propel us. And sometimes our stress, worrying about finances and things like that, you have the idea for the money right there, and you got to push past how you feel and push past that anxiety and just do it. Not worry about, what people are going to say, if they're going to support you. Whatever God has given you to do, there's somebody out there who needs it. And so, if you don't draw a large audience, or if you do, you never know until you try. Okay. So get out there and do it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Hey, Taisha, good to see you. My cousin Maya is watching. My friend Martin. Hey, Martin, good to see you guys. So as we wrap up, I want to thank you guys for interacting. But again, as life is lifing, and as we are dealing with all the things that are going on, as we are dealing with the social climate, be watchful. I want to admonish everyone, the Bible says watch and pray. You got to watch. When you're going out, just don't be out all willy-nilly. Pay attention to your surroundings. This is the military in me talking now. Pay attention. Don't get so caught up in having fun or whatever you're doing if you're out that you're not paying attention. Be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention. I don't even sit with my back to the door when I go out to eat. Anybody will tell you that I watch everything. I'm very observant. So observe, pay attention, watch, and make sure that you're being mindful of yourself. Ground yourself when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling nervous or you're feeling stressed, and turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. Hey, Tammy, thank you for joining me. Turn the TV off. Don't watch the news all day. I told you I was guilty of that. Pay attention, but most of all, pay attention to yourself. Notice when you are dealing with anxiety. Notice when you're a little off. Notice, pay attention when your mood is kind of a little shifty more than normal. When you are isolating, when you don't want to go out. When people are, hey, come join us here. Hey, come do this. And you just don't feel like it. Because life is life. And you like, ooh, I'm over everything. I don't feel like, I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to lay. You're having chronic fatigue and you're going through all these changes. You have to get a hold of yourself and get a hold of what's going on around you. And those things that you can control, the areas that you can control them. The things that you cannot, you have to let it go. You stop worrying about things that you cannot control. And if you are a child of God, you have to get to a point where you say, you know what, Lord, if this don't work out, it's on you. Now, if you are, you living the best you can, you tithing and giving and, doing all. Now, if you're not tithing and you're not a giver, you're not, then, certain things you just don't qualify for. I'm just throw that out there. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then it's on God to make a way. It's on God to, like, hey, this is for your glory, and the things that I can handle, but all this other stuff outside of my realm, I'm giving it to you. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to bed. That's nothing. We stay up too late. Go to bed. Get your rest. Those of us that are over 40, you got to get your sleep. Sleep deprivation will cause anxiety and stress. It contributes as well. They contribute to each other. Because when you're stressed, you can't sleep. But then when you don't sleep, it'll cause you to have stress. So go to bed. Get your rest. Ground yourself. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Talk to somebody. If you are feeling a lot of anxiety, if you're feeling stressed and you need to get on somebody's couch, as I say, as a Black person, because we struggle with, getting help. I'm admonishing you, especially during this time. Go get on the couch. Go talk to somebody. And not necessarily your pastor, because they need to be on the couch too. Let me say that. A lot of pastors need counseling. Pause, Selah. You pastors that are on here watching, don't be afraid to ask for help. Get some counseling, because you're always giving. We just pouring out, giving out everything you have. Then you start resenting your members because they're getting on your nerves, because they always needing stuff. Blowing up your phone at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, needing counseling, and recognize when the counseling is beyond your control. Just because you've been called to pastor does not mean you've been called to be a therapist. I'm going to let that sink. A pastor and a therapist is not the same thing. A leader in ministry is not the same thing as a therapist. You are not trained or qualified to deal with some of the things that will come across your door. Ask me how I know. You're not qualified, and you will take on burdens and take on things. It will affect your family. It will affect your health. You'll be stressed and worried about stuff that's not even yours to carry. You pray for the people, minister to them, and go to bed. Okay? For my pastor friends. Don't let your family be injured because you doing for everybody else, but you forget about yours. Spend time with your kids. And that's for everybody. You know, spend time with your kids. Love on them. And those grown kids, love on them and spend time with them, but learn when to tell them no and let them go on about their business. There's a book out my mom was telling me called Let Them Be, I think that's what it called. Mom, correct me if I'm wrong. But let them do them. You know, they grown, because they'll tell you that in a minute. They will tell you I'm grown when it suits them. You know, and then when they need you. And sometimes, even in those needs, you have to learn to tell these grown kids, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't help you, baby. You know, sometimes you got to let them feel the outcome of their decisions. You have to let them feel, okay, this what I told you not to do that, but that's what you want to do. So, you know, and pray for them. And deep down, I know as a mom, you're going through changes on the inside, but you have to let them go and let them be grown and do them. Overseer Black, Adira Black, thank you for joining me. Yeah, that's the name of the book. It's called Let Them. I think you guys should check that out. My mom was telling me about it. But yeah, let them be. Let them do them. Let them be grown. They, you know, they want to, you know, do them. And, you know, they want to make decisions. They want to be ratchet. You know, they want to do this. You know, my kids are funny because I had my kids late in my 30s. So my kids always tell me I'm old, you know, but I feel like I look good for my age. So I don't care what they say. But anyway. You know, I have teenagers, so they're always like, Mom, you don't understand. You grew up in a different time, you know, which is true. You know, things are definitely different now, but I am learning, you know, to parent, but to, you know, slowly back away as folks are getting grown. All right. All right, Maya, you said a hard lesson for me, but I got there. It's necessary to let them. That's right. You know, your parents have to, you know, let you feel that, you know, the pain of your decisions sometimes. You have to just do you. Sean, my friend, thank you for joining me. But yeah, you have to let people do them. And that's even with not just your kids, but your friends, some of your siblings. You know, you got some of y'all have issues with your siblings that's causing you stress. You know, everybody grown and you got siblings that, you know, cutting up real bad, you know, and taking you through changes. Honey, let them go. Let them do them. And don't worry about, you know, okay. You know, they don't want to listen. You know, they don't want you to tell them nothing. No problem. You go right ahead. Not a problem at all. So, yeah, let them do them. So as we close, again, this is my second closing because you guys are coming in. Everybody's chiming in now. But again, I really want to just encourage everyone, those of you that are watching, like and share. And I did put my Cash App and my Zelle on at the top of the intro. So if you want to be a blessing to what I'm doing, I got a lot of things that I have planned and things that I want to do as time goes on. But I appreciate you guys' support. And also, reach out to me. My email address is at the top of the screen. Also, if you want to reach out and you're interested in life coaching sessions, any personal sessions or anything, reach out. Let me know. Or if you have any kind of, you know, thing you want to talk about or anything like that. I am a certified life coach, but I really just want to help. And I want to just give some words of encouragement to our community at large and those of you that are considered friends. So I hope this has been a blessing to you. If it was, again, my giving information is at the introduction. You can Cash App me at $ Chantel Hutchins or chantel.hutchins09@gmail.com is my Zelle. And you can also use that email address to reach out if you are interested in coaching sessions or anything like that. Let me know. Drop me a line or just drop me a line. Let's talk. All right. Thanks for joining Reset tonight. I hope you have a great evening. And again, don't you stay up late. Take yourself to bed. Go to sleep. Get you some rest. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Stay tuned for my page. I'll be jumping on live regularly. Just look out for me. Okay? All right. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye-bye.